Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming to tonight's fans forum. Thank you for taking the time out of your Friday evening ahead of tomorrow's game. We're joined by Jason Stockwood, Polly Bancroft, David Artell, and we will be joined by Andrew Pettit very soon. Do you want to just sort of, introduce yourselves a bit, how long you've been working for the club, and what does it mean to work for Grimsby Town? Who wants to start? Oh, Andrew's here.
Look at that, there he is. The best chairman the club's had in the last 4 years. He's arrived. Well, thanks for coming, everyone. I'm Jason. Hopefully, you know him. If you don't know who worked with me and Andrew, where have you been for the last 4 years? So I'm the second best chair in the last 4 years of the football club's history, and just appreciate you coming out on a Friday night.
Yeah, thanks, and looking forward to all the questions and making it as difficult as possible.
Thanks. Equally welcome everyone. Great to see everybody here. I've been in the club 10 months now.
Hello. First thing is the chairman owes a £5 into the kit if they turn up late. It's a fine for everyone. No, obviously. Good to see you all. Thanks for coming. I hope you ask probing and insightful questions, and I'll answer them as honestly as I can do.
Let's get started then. So we're going to do it. We're going to go through some different categories, and we're going to read out the questions that we got online, and then we're going to open each category to the floor. So we've got strategy and independent football regulator, we've got facilities, we've got finances, we've got players, and we've got mark-ons. So we'll start with strategy. So a question from Harry Robinson to kick us off. Polly, what are the aims and the objectives of the club for the next 5 seasons? It's quite a big question to start us off.
Thanks, Meg. The strategy, rightly so, is to climb through the leagues with an S, and the S is important. That applies to men's first team, women's first team, and it also doesn't put a cap on where we'd like to go. So that's the vision. That's underpinned by 3 priorities. One is around the technical side, around gaining a competitive advantage, and that really leans to some of the work that we've been doing both on the men's player recruitment side and the use of Jamestown Analytics that you may have read about, and also the creation of a game model that no doubt David will speak to a bit more later on. Also, we recognise the importance of the community, so our work with the foundation in terms of our outreach work into the community and bringing the community into Blundell Park. Also, we want to look at our commercial revenue and increase that. That's not just in sponsorship, but that's in our operating costs, ways that we can work more creatively and innovatively to make sure that we're reducing costs and bringing money into the club. And that's underpinned by operating sustainably. So we're mindful of our sustainability footprint, we're looking at reducing waste, but also how we can use our voices, that's collectively, around matters like the independent regulator, about the financial sustainability, not just of this club, but of the pyramid in total. So hopefully that gives an indication of the types of topics that we're working on, and I think probably links quite well into the next question about the regulator.
Thank you, Polly. A question from Larry Leake for Andrew or Jason. How long do you think it will take until the football regulator will be implemented? Reading both Jason and Andrew, it came over as you thought things might have moved a bit quicker. Has it disappointed you how drawn out the process seems to have become? And to end, thanks for your investment. You must be mad.
That's true. And my wife definitely tells me I'm mad. I think the football regulator is very, very important for all of us in this room, but all the clubs up and down the FL and beyond. It's something that we've been supportive of from the day we walked in the door. The dislocation that exists between the Premier League and the EFL is huge. And the gap's only gotten wider over the last 5 to 10 years as each TV deal's done, both domestically and, I think, as importantly, internationally, the Premier League has grown. We're not looking to be greedy. We're not looking to get any sort of free ride from the Premier League or the money that's earned by the game. But we're just looking for a recognition that the Premier League wouldn't be the same competition without the EFL. If you actually look over the time since, I mean, everyone always talks about 1992 and they don't think about stats before 1992, but actually quite a few things happened before then, at least 120 years of history. But even since 1992, there have been about 50 clubs have made it to the Premier League. So the 20 that happen to be there at the moment are the incumbents who are benefiting from the cash that's generated by the game and the game in the widest sense. So and part of the reason for the success of the Premier League is the fact that they have a pretty uncapped financial model that means that they can afford to pay more wages than any other club any other league in Europe and across the world, but probably apart from Saudi Arabia, I'd suggest. But certainly in the context of European football, one of the reasons for the success is the fact they're paying the players significantly, and that, of course, filters down to the rest of the rest of the pyramid. The Championship is if you think we're nuts, then the Championship is completely nuts because you've got 24 clubs there all vying to reach the hallowed turf of the Premier League and the financial riches that come with it, and they're all both. In order to compete, once they get to the Premier League, they need to pay the players significant money, but also when they come back down again, the lack of competition that exists because of the parachute payments that are made. You see that there's a lot of younger clubs going up and down because of that gap. Personally, and again, Jason and I both supported this, and this hasn't really come up in a lot of detail. Is that the gap between League One and the Championship is also pretty significant. You get paid 5 times more cash than you do in the Championship versus League One. So you get a 50% more when you go from League Two to League One. So it's just not quite the same difference. So we're very supportive. To specifically answer the question, it seems to be making some decent progress through Parliament. We've, as a club, been pretty heavily involved in talking to both constituents in the game, to our MPs, to politicians, participated in events down in London to help support the bill. I know Christine's been very active as well, from the supporters' perspective. So we really want to support this happening, and there is, I think, generally cross-party support. There's a couple of difficult Tory people who are who happen to own West Ham United, who are trying to put lots of gaps in the way of the bill, but I think that's being successfully navigated, and with the following wind, it'll be in place by the summer. Whether it's before the summer recess or after the summer recess, I think is the question at the moment. But that's just the beginning of the journey. The first thing the regulator will have to do is to appoint somebody, probably someone like Deloitte or an accounting firm of some sort, to do a report on the state of the finances of the game, which will then form the basis for any regulation. And the way that the bill's formatted is the regulator's not there to tell the EFL and the Premier League what to do. It's there to provide a backstop if the EFL and the Premier League can't agree. But right now the Premier League has no real incentive to agree a deal quickly. But I think the increasing realisation of the fact that there is a regulator going to happen will perhaps bring them back to the table to agree something without having to go to the jeopardy actually for both sides of letting the regulator decide what the answer will be. But we're certainly hopeful that that will lead to a significant additional cash support for the club, particularly for infrastructure, we think. But again, until any deal's done, we're a little bit in the dark. Certainly, the EFL is not interested in trying to spoil the Premier League or to do anything that upsets what is a great export for us as a country. So. Yeah, I guess we've got to add to that, Jason.
That's good.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Sorry.
We'll open it to the floor now for any questions regarding strategy or the independent football regulator. So does anyone have any questions regarding, any more questions regarding the strategy or the independent football regulator? Anyone? I think we'll swiftly move on to the next topic then, which is facilities. So, Richard Warman and Richard Cox ask Polly, is there much more immediate vital work required to Blundell Park to keep the SAG happy this summer?
Yeah, the Safety Advisory Group, or the SAG, have mandated that we have further improvements to the steelwork required this summer. So that's in the main stand and in the covered corner. So that's another six-figure sum that's required this off-season to keep the place open. So that is a mandatory requirement and obviously requires more capital investment from our very generous owners. So yes, that needs to be done. We're in discussions with them about another set of steelwork required for the pontoon and the upper at 300 grand that we're hoping to delay until the following summer. So we're still working with structural engineer and the SAG to determine whether we can push that into next summer. So yeah, a lot of capital investment required to keep the ground open and safe primarily for all supporters to come and watch matches.
A disabled supporter called Derek, Stephen Holden, Mark Walter and Mark Parker have asked plans for the pitch going forward. Obviously it's been a bit of a big topic recently, so what are the plans going forward with the pitch?
Sure, so we had a pitch assessment conducted by a consultant, so an expert in turf and in pitches, and they've provided us with a couple of options, one being a full reconstruction to the tune of 800 grand and some maintenance options similar to what was done last summer and an improvement on the maintenance that was done last summer. So in view of the timescales that Andrew spoke about with the independent regulator, and as hoping that some financial flow will come out of that independent regulator within the next however long, the view at this stage will be to opt for the maintenance option around 50k-ish, but that to be a better maintenance option than last summer as we wait and continue to lobby for that further investment to come down.
Well, just to add on that, I think people noticed the first year we made the big investment when we came, the pitch was a lot better. So something weird's happened this year that no one really fully understands. So it's worth stating that, is that we spent a lot more money than have historically been spent on, which had a bad year for some reason. Now, we can't have two bad years, but we will invest in it in the summer. If that fails, we'll just grow potatoes in the corner and sell them to do the reconstruction, I think.
The thing is, we haven't had a bad winter either. This is what, disappointing.
Yeah, it is weird, but if you look around the ground, and I pay far too much attention to other pitches now, and rather than as much as I do the football, and there's a lot of pitches that haven't held up this year. We've had a particularly bad year, there's no getting away from that, but there's nothing been done that dramatically different. It has been a bit wetter, but not significantly so. So it feels like an anomaly, to be honest with you. So the basic structure of the pitch is over 100 years old. If you dig underneath it, literally you go down, there's bricks, 2 foot down underneath it. So at some point we need a new pitch, right? But we just haven't got £1 million, 800 grand to £1 million to spend. That's the reality of it. We'd love to get a Deso pitch out there and do the work. Our strong advice to the regulator and the conversation with DCMS is actually they need to make sure infrastructure, any more money that comes down from the Premier League should largely be earmarked for infrastructure, because I think most clubs at our sort of level would love to invest in that, as opposed to just going straight through to salary and wages, which will be, it'll be problematic, because it'll just be another arms race. So you going home, mate? Is that enough, is it? We're not looking to do this to get the money from the regulator to make sure we don't have to invest in this. We think if they can insist, it would be on infrastructure. But look, we've had a bad year. Look, we're fans like you. We look at it and we'd love, particularly the type of football David's put together on show for us. Playing some beautiful football, better than I've seen in 20 years or so coming here. And I think. Yeah, look, but the reality of it is there's no one sat here or in the audience that wants to see that pitch the way it is. I think that's the fair thing. And people like us pointing it out, but we've done everything we can. We've had a rubbish year. We don't know really what's the cause of it, because Martin and the grounds team worked really hard on this. It's not a matter of not a lot of effort. Something's gone wrong. We'll try and correct it in the summer, and hopefully we've had 3 good years, so hopefully it'll get better. Yes, mate.
Is there any comeback to these people that did maintenance last year?
Not really, to be honest with you. We looked at the options that they give us. On paper, it was the right advice. Something weird's happened with the seasons and, you know, something to do with the atmosphere. I don't know what it is, I'm talking like a Watch Gardener's World all the time. But I think we've just had a bad year, and hopefully we'll have better years.
I think just to add to that, so the recommendations that we've had from the external pitch consultant, we've also shared with the Football Foundation to get a second opinion on it as well, plus then consulted our ground staff. So I think having our in-house staff, an external consultant and the Football Foundation gives us good confidence that what the plan is for this summer is an improvement on the maintenance plan from next summer. Is it going to get the pitch to where we all want it to be? No, but in absence of the financial flow, that's the best that we can do for the moment.
David, I think that might be for you.
Yes.
Short and sweet answer.
Do you know what's interesting about this conversation, though? This is, you know, it's you know, one of the things that might be prompted tonight, but I'll get ahead of the conversation. Like, I was embarrassed by the fans that came down and gave David, you know, an earful last week. You know, we're in a better position as a club than we have been in a long time, and there's so much effort going on across the organisation. No more so than what David's done in turning the team we had last year into a team that's competing at the top of the league. And a similar thing for the pitch, right? Like, so when I occasionally drift online to look at some, the idea that we aren't noticing the pitch, we're spending our own money, we've lost, you know, another 1.6 million quid. You know, there's no one more frustrated about this than us. So the people pointing out and saying, look, the pitch is in a bad condition, we know, and we're trying really. There's a lot of effort. There's more effort than I'd care to be spending on this, to be honest, and other things I could be doing with my time. I'm not saying that was, you know, but it's just weird sometimes to see people moaning about stuff, thinking like we haven't noticed it. But this club's in a better shape than it's been for a long time, and it begins and ends with the quality of what we're putting on this afternoon. And we'll try and do our best to correct the pitch stuff, but like, it's noticed, and we notice it more than ever because we're spending the money on it as well. So imagine it's heartbreaking just to see how it is, but it's not because of a lack of effort.
Thank you, Jason. Right, we'll open up to the floor for any more facility-related questions. Anyone got any more? No? We'll move on then. The next topic is finances, which will be answered mainly, I think, by Andrew and Jason. So the first question we've had is from Punjab Mariner, season ticket holder, and he asks, do we have an update on the new training ground, as it seems to have dragged on for a while? That's in his words.
Danny's question, this.
Well, I think the simple answer is, as I think I've said on multiple fans forums, we'll announce it when we're ready, and when we've got something to announce. But there is progress behind the scenes. I think that one of the blockages that was in the way has moved on. But as we said in previous fans forums as well, we're not going to be able to develop a training ground until we've got funding for it. So again, there's a sequence to be gone through to do that. We have got, you know, quite a lot of irons in the fire in terms of seeking that funding, whether it's from other investors, private investors, or government, local government and central government funding sources, charity, etc., local businesses. So we're trying our hardest to get that together, but there's nothing I'm ready to announce tonight, unfortunately.
Thank you, Andrew. Neil Mapper asks, the current set of losses highlights the difficulty with the facilities of Blundell Park and how awkward it will be to move forward. Is it time for a conversation regarding relocation, whether that's from borrowing, long-term loans, or a substantial development of Blundell Park? And then he ends with grateful for everyone's efforts and investment in the club.
Yeah, we are going to move ground next season. Bradley Pitches is...
That's on record there, by the way, Andrew.
No, I mean, again, we sort of addressed this on many occasions, that the actual costs of relocation are huge. There have been obviously previous efforts to do that, and most teams again go around the country to lots of the away grounds and seeing them all nicely situated next to retail parks that obviously were helped to pay for the ground, or like places like York City, or next to with big blocks of flats in expensive parts of the UK, like in Wimbledon. Those things unfortunately don't apply to us, so we couldn't unfortunately build a lot of blocks of flats around London Park to pay for a bunch of new stands and expansion to the ground, or indeed a relocation. So for the time being, it's very much off the agenda, and not something that we're actively considering at all.
Thank you very much. Season ticket holder James Fleming asks, what is the explanation for the approximately 900k year-on-year movement in accruals and deferred income?
That was just the timing of season tickets, so nothing sinister there. It's just the timing of when we started to sell season tickets.
Season ticket holder John Smith asks, of the new shares issued by 1878 Partners last year in August, what proportion was issued to the unnamed American investors?
Approximately 20% to the American investors. And just to be clear, there's no particular secret there. It's just we asked all the investors whether they were interested in having their names publicised, and a couple of them said yes, a couple of them said no. So we respect their desire for privacy.
And just to build on that, so one of the things was that we're trying to get to know these people. So the reason for taking a relatively small stake in the club is like, I know them from the business world, but they're not connected. It's the first investor that we're taking that's not connected to the town. And so clearly we're trying to look at sources of capital for the club that can make us more competitive and make us, get us to where we want to get to. So the decision was made to take an amount of money where we could spend time with them over the next few years, and so far so good. They're good people, good actors, and have been really positive about being involved. So that was one of the reasons why. A, they didn't want the publicity, but B, we made a conscious decision to just get to know them a bit as well. So just to make sure they're good people. But that's one of the reasons.
Jason, on that basis, then, are you expecting further investment?
Well, we're definitely
from those people?
We're definitely seeking further investment, and that's one of the options to those people. So, and they've indicated that that's a conversation to be open to. I think the thing for us is like we're trying to balance. If we take more capital now in now, just to put into the playing budget, at the moment it just makes us more unsustainable. And that's the reality. It's like Paul is doing a brilliant job with the team, growing the commercial revenue, but we've got to be really thoughtful around, how do we grow this club at a pace that is, that outstrips, quite frankly, our budget. I mean, one of the things you see in this year is overperformance relative to our spend, and that's the model. We think the combination of an aligned culture, a head coach that improves players more than any other coach in the leagues, plus a data-led approach to finding undervalued players. This is why David and I spent a lovely weekend in the Faroe Islands last year, and everyone knows that. That's lovely. It was a lovely weekend, wasn't it? I enjoyed it. So, we only had it was one room, by the way. He's been filmed, isn't it? It wasn't one room. That's the model, right? If we can find undervalued assets, and I think we're doing it, you're starting to see that now. When you look at how brilliant Jason's turned out, like he looked like, when he first couple of games, we're like, how's this date? And you look, you put that coach and the talent to work, and you see what we're getting now. He's playing consistently, one of our better players. And you saw, how good Geza looked when he came on the other day. And it's not just the international players, by the way. It's across the whole squad. But if we can overperform our budget through great coaching, an aligned culture, and great data analysis, I think we can do this in a sustainable way, but we need some help from the regulators to get. There's no doubt about it. There's losses are bigger than we want it to be, but the plan is to get there or thereabouts.
And we're not helped on that side by the fact that every other club in League One and League Two seems to be increasing their budgets. I mean, it's only look at Birmingham City and what they've been spending on Wrexham, of course, famously in terms of they've always been spending seven figures on strikers. So, but it's not just that. Even in our league, the budgets have gone up by, I think, around 35% in the last 3 years. So it's there needs to be something done to stop that happening.
And just on both end points, if you haven't got an aligned culture, even if you spend a fortune, you still go out of the league. Carlisle. It's the best example. Last year, Forest Green had a footballing sort of philosophy, culture, spent an absolute fortune, brought in a dynasty. Steve Cottrell took him out of the league. Unaligned sort of identity. Carlisle are doing the same thing. They'll end up out of the league because they're not aligned, even though they've spent telephone numbers absolute telephone. It's crucial that you have that aligned strategic thinking. And I'm personally grateful that we've got 3 really good people who are all on the same page.
Thank you very much, David. A question for Polly about season tickets. Are we looking at an increase in prices on season tickets, and when will they be on sale this year? As I've noticed, a good few clubs are starting to sell their season tickets for next year.
I think, as you've all heard, with the amount of losses that the club continues to make, that we announced our financial statements a couple of weeks ago for last season. We're looking at similar losses for this season, albeit we're trying to reduce those as we speak. With the fact that the club continues to lose money, and across the board we're trying to bring in more revenue. Again, as I said at the beginning, we're trying to reduce any losses that we can from an operational perspective. Invariably, yes, fans will need to probably expect a small increase in season tickets for next season. We're working through those plans as we speak. In view of a potential playoff campaign, we were mindful around the dates of those fixtures and the potential need for fans to pay out or want to pay out for those tickets in May. So we're looking at an April launch for those tickets to go on sale. So again, we're trying to think about this as strategically as possible. Operating costs have gone up since last season. There was obviously the prize freeze last season as well, so there's a little bit of catch up to do. So yes, we'll be looking at a slight increase on both the individual match tickets and season tickets.
Thank you, Polly. We'll open up to any more financial questions from the floor from anybody. You're all very quiet this evening. Any more for any more?
Have we got any plans in place to get promoted this year? How would things change financially and player-wise?
Yes, we have got plans. We've got financial forecasting and scenario planning for both League 2 and League 1, and we're doing the same on the squad planning side as well.
Wonderful stuff. We'll move on to the next category then, which is players. So it's
Just to add to that,
yeah, sure.
it gets worse. So you get promoted, it costs you more money. That's the reality, right? So this efficiency becomes even more important. But we become a more attractive investable proposition. If we get out of this league, then more people are going to want to invest in a League 1 club than they are a League 2 club. And so that's the process for us, is like, we want to get out of this league. We want to get out of this league as quickly as possible. So I don't want you to hear that, but the reality of it, it costs us more money to get promoted, but it creates a bigger opportunity from an investor point of view. So you balance those things. We're ambitious for this club and for this town, actually. So just so we're clear on that, it costs more money, but we think there's an opportunity. And then the regulator comes in, it'll be in the same situation where hopefully it should help us balance the book. So we're betting on that. It's going to, the regulator will come in, it's my bet. But actually, we think the timing of this, if we get this right with the sort of squad we're building, most of that we'll be able to carry through. We're trying to get players, and we're probably a couple of windows away still from that can perform for us in a different league as well. It won't be completely. So there's definitely a plan around it, but make no bones, it does cost us more, but we think it'll be more attractive as an investment proposition to show that we're making that progress.
I think Dave's already planning for Division 1, right? January.
Well, it's your turn for the spotlight anyway, David, with our next category. So I think, well, before we go into the questions, I think it's fair to say over the past year we've had an incredible development on the pitch. I think everyone can agree that this season has been incredibly enjoyable, for many reasons, whether that's players that have come in and developed massively. I mean, you were saying about Jason's Van Dorset is an incredible example, and Geza on Tuesday night looking really comfortable, but just, yeah, it's definitely been an enjoyable season. We can all agree on that, can't we? There we go, good start there. Sorry to put you on the spot there, David.
We must be doing something right. Big Dave's giving you compliments. I know that much.
So we'll kick off. Richard Warman, Dave Tomo, and Chris Kirk have all congratulated Dave on the season so far, and have asked about plans for the summer transfer window. And the first question is it likely that we will have much less of a player turnover this season? Because we had about 10 last season.
Yeah, I think we tried not to have revolution. I called it revolution, not evolution. But it ended up, I think we had much more than 10 last year, if you include the loans. This summer will definitely be less. without a shadow of a doubt. And we'll sort of be coming to the end of a cycle, really, you know, where we'll end up having this summer will be all about efficiency of spend, and what I mean by that is one of the players' best abilities is availability, and we haven't had enough players available. That's the truth, all through the season. And it's not just us, lots of clubs have had injuries and stuff like that, but if we get players who are available more, right, with the same amount of quality, that undervalued talent that Jason was on about, we'll stand a greater chance, whether that's League 2 or League 1. You know, we're not, you know, we're all ambitious for the football club. We all want the football club to go through the leagues, that's the vision, as quick as we can. You know, I don't really buy into the football club's not ready. Well, we'll deal with that when we get there. You know, I'm very much game to game. Don't you know? We brought a centre half off on Tuesday and put a number 10 on, and put Ev back one. We ended up losing the game by double the score it was at the time because it went to 2-0 rather than 1-0. I'm comfortable with that approach. I'm not comfortable losing the game, obviously, and just conceding goals. But I'm not going to die wondering. I'd much rather try and win the game and be progressive and win more games of football and get promoted than worry about, you know, Birmingham City. I'll worry, you know, like I just said, Carlo spent telephone numbers. You know, half the teams in League 1 won't spend their numbers. Well, okay, it doesn't matter. We'll worry about that when we get there. So let's get there. Whether it's this season, next season, you know, I think we've made remarkable progress, and we've got to keep making remarkable progress. So we're planning to, we're scenario planning as well. We've already started our dossiers that goes to Ollie, then goes to the owners, so they know where we're coming from. And then we'll see where we get to and what conversations we can have and which conversations we've had that may be redundant because that player was for this certain situation when ends up in this situation. So we're doing all that at the minute, and hopefully we go down one path that we all want to go down.
Is there any news on contracts? For example, Denver Hume and players coming through the academy?
The short answer is no, but there will be in time, and once we're ready. You know, I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but I'm an optimist, as you can see. You know, I'm a glass half full kind of guy, so I always think that, you know, I don't take it personally, but I always see it as an affront that a player doesn't believe we're the best option for his career. You know, if we're talking specifically about Denver, I genuinely don't know if he's going to move on or not. I genuinely don't. And if he does, then he's had 18 great months with us, and he deserves, you know, a lot of credit for getting his career back on track. If he stays with us, I'd be delighted. It's as simple as that. The young kids, they'll get told soon, and there'll be an announcement soon.
Thank you, David. Simple.
Any investigation into the number of sort of injuries we had this season? Yeah. Number of hamstring injuries.
I think the first thing to say is we're not alone.
No.
All right. I don't want anyone to break out in Michael Jackson at that point. But,
You can if you want.
I think we've had up to Christmas. We've had this will sound crazy. This is league-wide data, so we have to submit our data to the league as every other club does. We've had far less injuries than other clubs. We're way below the average. The problem we've had, they've all been much more severe. So it's all been more serious, if you like, and they've kept players out for longer. So even that before Christmas, that was definitely the case. That's in numbers. We don't know what it has been since Christmas. So others have suffered more, if you like, in terms of number of injuries, but they might have been back quicker. So it's not necessarily the amount of injuries, definitely not the amount of injuries, it's the severity of them. So we've had all sorts of things from, are we training too much, too little? You know, is it a pitch thing? It's not a pitch thing, before anybody says anything. It's not. you know, there's all sorts of things. I think one of the common things was we had 3 players, contracted players from last season that didn't do a full pre-season because they were injured from last season because they had operations in the summer. And it's the timing of the injuries and the grouping of the injuries that's been particularly harmful for us this year. So all midfielders out at the same time, all strikers out now at the same time, for example, and also not doing pre-seasons. So the pre-season is crucial to get your work in for the whole of the season, and we didn't have enough. When we first come back, we had something like 10 players. So yes, we signed players during pre-season, but they're, for each week that goes past, they're missing that week of pre-season, and we've sort of suffered for that. The good thing is this summer, one, it will probably be shunted further towards May, hopefully, although on one hand I hope it doesn't happen because we want that jeopardy, if truth be told. But also, there's less numbers coming in. And if it's loans, for example, they'll have hoarded in pre-season or just not yet elsewhere, just not under our guidance. So there's lots of factors where we think it'll be much better next season, and it was not really. It was obviously not meant for this to happen, and there's no blame attached to anything. We've just done it in the sense that right, we've got to be more mindful of this, going forward, and I suppose you need a bit of luck as well.
Can you get us all excited by telling us that some players nearly ready to come back?
I can't, I'm afraid. I wish I could.
Okay, with the lack of attacking options we've got at the minute because of injuries, have you looked and had any conversations with any free agents or anything like that, or is there any budget for that?
We've looked, and the truth is, and I'll put it as Joe Hutchinson said it to me. We've looked, they've all not played for a year, and they're all fat. I didn't hear what he said that last word, because I'm a lovely Christian boy.
He did text me.
Yeah, yeah, you weren't on his list, you're too slim. But yeah, we have looked, but...
I'm out the equation, gentlemen.
you made a short list, but...
Wasn't him then.
We have looked.
A nice, simple yes or no question for you, David. Do you think we have the capabilities to get to League One this season and perform strongly next with the squad we've got?
Yes. I think at this stage of the season, we've always been there or thereabouts the playoffs. We've had some unbelievable wins, some chastening defeats, but they've been much more interspersed by the good performances. Even on Tuesday night was a great example of a good performance. Just didn't quite get over the line. We had all the big moments. We didn't quite manage to get over the line, but we have managed to do that more often than not this season. We've beaten top of the league a few times. Gillingham away, we're top of the league and lost at home for nearly a year. Walsall last week, maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Going down the road to the Yorkies. And stuffing them in their own backyard comprehensively. These are beating Bradford for the first time twice. We didn't do it once at the start of the season. Tranmere going to Brenton Park and winning.
Got a nice long list there, haven't you, David?
Well, I'm saying because it's like this club's not done this for a long time. It's not luck. It's by design. The players deserve a huge amount of credit for what we've achieved this year, and it won't be another 26 years till we beat Tranmere away. Or what was it? I don't know. It might be Bradford or something. I can't remember. One of the things was 20 years.
I think we've broken a lot of records this season.
Yeah. The point is, it's we are progressing. I think everyone can see that. Early on in the season, we were inconsistent in games. We'd have a good half and a rubbish half. Then we'd have a good game, then a bad game. The fact that I got nominated the manager of the month in December suggests that the players have played well in December. Then we had a poor January. Then we had a really good February and got nominated again.
So is it the curse, is it? Is that what it is?
No. We've gone from in-game to game to months. That's because the players are getting more and more developed through the coaching, through their engagement, through taking on what we're after. And you can see that. Now if we have a good last 6 weeks, then you never know where it's going to get us. I know that's a bit more than a yes or a no, but there you go.
Is that a change in formation, Ray? Because I think there's been a seismic change since Bromley away.
Right.
I know you've been discussing it, like reference point, things like that. Obviously, your favourite formation is 4-3, which I understand.
Okay.
But the change in consistency has been...
I think it's helped. Let me ask you this: what did we play at Doncaster?
Is that not 3.5?
No. I'll tell you this: I played with a lad called Lee Glover at Rotherham, and he's on their staff. He had us down as a 4, a diamond, and a 2 up front. Right? And when you watch the game back, that's exactly how it looked like. Nobody's mentioned a diamond at the training ground. We can't afford them. Right? But my point is, it's that fluid. You know, Harvey Rogers has played more as a right back in the last 10 games than as a centre half. I'd say he's probably played more as an advanced right back than as a centre half. But because there's this belief and fluidity, it's hard to stop. And it's not. I'm using Harvey Rogers as I think, quite an obvious example. You know, we've had the last few games. I'm not going to say what we played because nobody's mentioned it. Nobody's mentioned what we play because I think formations help opposition with reference points, and that's all they are. That's all they are. It's more about principles of play and what we're trying to do, what we try to do to opposition. So anyone who comes to the meeting upstairs about what we present to the players, a lot of that now remains unchanged in possession because of what we're building. There's a great consistency to what we're building, and that comes from whatever shape it is, really. As it helps, undoubtedly. It's not, let me tell you, if it was a golden bullet, I would have fired it in August. So it's not that. It's more about the actual familiarisation, the relationships with players, you know, all that, and the ease. You know, Harvey Rogers scored a goal from open play at Cheltenham in the box, for example. You know what I mean? That doesn't come through, that's not luck. That's through us developing all that in Harvey Rogers. You know, that's developing Kieran Green to make 8 runs rather than sat in front of a back 4 and giving the ball away every time he gets it. I'm not trying to knock, that was what he used to do. Now it's like, what's his best asset? Running. Well, start there and run that way. He's the best in the league, eh? Best in the league, without a shadow of a doubt. So all we're trying to do is manipulate, when I say players into formations, if you want to use formations, to get the best out of them.
What's your long-term plan? Are you going to stick with what you've got now? Are you pushed to sort of go forward? Or?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, we've got weekly recruitment meetings with Joe, and because we're quite fluid in our thinking, there's no defined way. I think it's, if I said, yeah, we're going to 4-3-3, you know, that's all I'm always doing, that kind of stuff. But because we're asking the players to be open-minded, to have a growth mindset, to take on board what we're asking of them, but they can do what we're asking to do it in a 4-3-3, a 3-5-2, a diamond, you know, whatever it is, because the principles remain unchanged. So I'm not going to sit and go, we're definitely going to stick with a 3-5-2 or a 4-3-3 or whatever, because it will change based on players' attributes, players' form, sometimes injuries. But the principles will get us through anyway. You know, right?
I think because this topic's quite a long one, I think we've hit 45 minutes, so if we wrap up there for 10-15 minutes and then come back and finish off your topic and then move on to Marcon's, if that sounds alright? Give everyone a little break. Half time, yeah. Team talk. Right, welcome back everyone. We'll just continue with the questions for David regarding players. I know we've touched a bit on contracts and stuff already, but the next question is, what contingencies does the recruitment team and coaches have in place for replacing players that are out of contract but also still under contract at the end of the season? And we'll tie it in with such a depleted squad at the minute. Have you had any conversations with any players that are currently out of contract, and if so, can we expect any signings?
Yeah, the second bit I think I mentioned earlier, they're all haven't played and, you know, overweight. The first bit about sort of planning for the pre-season is close season. Obviously, we're planning for best case scenarios, which is significantly different from this time last year. So, we're ploughing on with what we hope will come to fruition, and we're in a much better place to attract players. I think there's only 4 players that don't actually live in the town, which was different from when I first came here, because I think the rhetoric was we can't attract them. I think that's rubbish. I nearly said a naughty word again. And the lads love living with each other and love living in the town. Do they go home on a Tuesday night after a game, back up to Middlesbrough and Oxford and wherever they're from? Of course they do. But they love living with each other. I know for a fact tonight they'll be resting up. I know last night they're all in, each other's house, with Bromley, Carlisle on the TV, practicing darts because they've got a dartboard with Premier League darts on the iPad. And they all live together. I say all of them, there's 12 of them live together. But then you've got a Charles Vernon in the town, you've got a Cam McJanet in the town, you've got a Darragh Burns in the town, you've got a Jason. They all do stuff with their girlfriends together. It's really important.
You didn't want to know that.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's good, isn't it? Yeah. I was merely trying to make the point. It's a lot easier to attract players this summer. Well, you're right. I didn't say that. Because I think we're in a better. The product, if you like, the team is in a better position to attract players, but also the football club, the houses that that Jason and Andrew have kindly rent, if you like, are such a big attraction. And they're lovely houses on the seafront, down by the Kingsway, and they don't half help attracting the players. So yeah, we're hopeful that we'll get an even greater standard of play going forward, because that's what we've done. I think, in my opinion anyway, last January, last summer, this January, we've constantly improved the quality of the player we've attracted, and I don't see that hopefully stopping in this summer.
I was going to say, when I speak to most of the lads that live here, they say that living together is a massive thing for them, and like it, that they create the bonds on the pitch, but also off the pitch is massive, isn't it?
We don't recruit idiots. That's the first thing. We don't. So that helps.
Season ticket holder Tony Parker says we've seen 2 overseas signings for the club, and no one can doubt the class that Jason is now showing. Does the club envisage any further overseas recruitment come the close season?
We're only allowed 2, so we're at capacity. Although there is rules where you can convert. You need to, shut your ears for a minute because this will get really boring. You can convert work permits and GB certificates across, and Jason's got to play a certain amount of minutes, and that's in any 12-month rolling period, and he's close to that threshold, which would allow us to bring in 1 more. That might be too soon for the summer. It depends how many minutes Jason plays. We're not governed by whether Jason should play or not. He's in on merit or he's not in on merit. Thankfully he's doing really well, he's settled in really well. But it could open up that possibility in the summer.
Is the Jamestown analytics model based more around foreign players or domestic?
It's whatever we ask them for, if you like. No. It's whatever they suggest, but at the same time. So that is a good example. Because of the situation around GB certificates, they've heavily concentrated on domestic players. If we open up that market, they would give us a list of foreign players or overseas players. So there's parameters that we can suggest and we want. And there's also profiles that we give them that they send back to us as well. So it's very much a two-way thing, that.
How would you have done that with these Spanish players on
Or was that a tongue-in-cheek?
Oh, now that lad's he's ahead of the game, this lad. Yeah. Look, I think I've got to be really careful what I say about any player, any potential target, because people end up interviewing them miles away, and in all seriousness, nearly ruining 8 months of hard work.
Exactly.
Right? Through, lovely stuff, but it very nearly undermined everything we did, but we rescued it. So I've got to be really mindful that I can't say too much. The point on all this is we're constantly trying to improve. So if I say to you, and from my point of view, is Cameron Janet a better player than Niall Mayer? In my opinion, 100%. And you can go through each, player like that we've brought in over the last sort of 15, 18 months. And I think we've constantly improved. And that's the challenge this summer. That is the challenge. Whether that's El Davio, La, whatever, No. That, you know what I mean? That's one of the parameters that we set ourselves. We need to be a better team come August the 2nd than what we are on May the 27th.
Thank you very much. Season ticket holder John Daniel asks, although we appreciate injuries have not helped the situation, I feel we could have nicked a few more points this season if we had another striking option available. You have mentioned, obviously, you spoke about the free agent, but they're all not suitable, which didn't materialise. Therefore, would you say that in the close season a striker is one of the main priorities?
I think that's a fair point to say, yeah.
Simple answer. Now, I'm not going to try and butcher this name, but we've had a question from someone who might be Faroese. I'm not going to butcher his surname, but he's called Sam. What is the vision behind buying Geza? Is he the player that will send us up the divisions? Is the plan behind him to be a new fundamental for our attacking style of play, like he was when he played in the Faroe Islands?
I think anyone who was here Tuesday night, for me, he was the best player on the pitch in the first half. For the challenges that he had to face in that game alone, he only found out he was playing probably 5:45 because George was ill. You wonder whether that will derail some characters, because he can. The first time he sort of played, certainly at BP, on a grass pitch, although he had 45 minutes in Lincoln's training ground, but certainly a grass stadium with all his teammates, because none of them played at Lincoln. All these challenges against a really good team, the intensity of it, the atmosphere. I thought he'd come through with flying colours. I thought he was excellent. So for me, I was saying to these guys earlier that his brain is the quickest in the team. His football brain is excellent, and he's technically probably even better than George. So we've just got to get him up to speed and get him used to us, and it'll be an improvement again. And that's the challenge that I face. I love them challenges, so that's what I get paid to do. So I'm hoping we see exactly what Sam, whatever he's called.
I don't even want to try and butcher the surname, in all honesty. You can have a look on the sheet yourself and try it.
I'm all right, thank you.
Can you confirm that it is Gaza then, and not Gazer or Geezer?
I think the players just take the mick, don't they? And they call him Geezer.
Yeah. Like geezer. Because they do generally say that. I don't think I've ever asked him.
I believe we've been told it's Geza.
I have asked him a long time ago. But it's just, everyone just calls him geezer at the training now.
Is he okay with that?
Or is he dodgy?
Yeah, that's not his real name. He's selling knockoff DVDs out of it in his car.
Do one of his disciples then?
Am I one of his disciples?
One of his disciples.
It's not Jesus. Jesus. Yeah, we went to watch it. I went to watch them both, and let's say me and Jason had a yeah. And we had a lovely time, didn't we, in the Faroes? I really enjoyed my time in Faroes. It was a lovely place, really scenic. You know, and we watched him play, didn't we? Top of the table clash.
So there could be more than in the summer, there could be
Yes.
backdrop that.
Yeah, we've got, like I said, we're only allowed 2 spots in League Two. Yeah, you know, so.
Where are you going?
Yeah, I've heard Ibiza Town's got some cracking players.
Is it true? I'm not sure if I imagined this, that Jamestown Analytics, they only deal with one club in each division. Is that true?
Yep.
Yeah. So what if we got promoted then? There's another club in.
Oh no, they could keep going with us. I mean, that's the idea until. Yeah. So when we spoke to them a couple of years ago, they weren't sharing the data with anyone, and they did a period of diligence on us that we weren't aware of about what the club represents, what we're trying to do, the style of football, etc. But yeah, we've got a long-term contract with them. I mean, without breaching confidentiality, I mean, we had a negotiation about what happens when we get to the Premier League, because they obviously got Brighton, and I was like, yeah, I'll just sign that. I can't believe we were at the bottom of League Two. And I'm like, okay, yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll probably just let that one go. To be honest with you. But, no, we like working with. They're good people, they're smart people, they're responsive, and they want us to do well. But the culture of the club is important to them. They want to go on a journey and support a club that shares their vision of what football can do in terms of entertainment, but also in a community as well. So that was important to them.
We've got one final question on the sheet for David. Season ticket holder James Fleming says, where is Grayson Giles? He only featured for Cleethorpes once. His numbers are consistently good at youth level. Would it not be beneficial to have him around the first team given our injuries?
He's injured. He got injured playing for Cleethorpes. That's why he only played one game for him.
Simple answer.
I've seen him on the pitch today. First time he's been outside, but I'm not sure if he'll be back before the end of the season.
That's a shame, isn't it?
It's always a shame to get injuries.
Right, have we got any more player-related questions for David? Oh, go on then, David. Do you want to hold the microphone as well?
No, that's fine.
You'll be heard in the recording then.
Okay.
Go on.
Hi, David. It's a follow-on from the Meet the Managers night, which I sort of think about afterwards. It was a fantastic second half. I thought that it was really insightful, your game plan for Bromley. What would other teams be saying about us if they'd worked through the same process? So say Salford tomorrow, what would their game plan look like?
Question. I think they'd try and high press us. I think they'd try and come after us. I think they'd stop us gaining control in games. I think the reason we play like we play is because we're not reliant on one person or one way. So to give you a Walsall example, they just whacked it up to Jamil Martin, Ellis Harrison. Harvey Dodgers headed every ball. Tyrell, when he come on, headed every ball. Cam headed every ball. You can stop it fairly quickly at source. 8 run, track 8 runs, wing back run. We don't play in such a one-dimensional way. You know, if we go across the pitch, can you go down the outside of them? If you can't, can you come back inside of them? That's why Denver's got the most assists in the league, because he can go, I'm going down there, thank you very much, I'm coming in here. Because they can't stop both ways. So if they said show them on the outside, we go, all right, we'll play down there. It's not a problem, because we've got that option. I'll stop that, well, I'll come in here and I'll do that. So Rosie's chance, when it was 1-0 Tuesday night, Denver comes inside, plays Greeny, sets Rosie, misses the bar by that much. So we work on being able to counter whatever the opposition are trying to stop. Does it always work? Of course it doesn't, because we don't win every game. But we're trying to preempt whatever. So I will say to the players, if they're trying to shut you down that side, well fine, go down that side, but you know, as soon as you come across the pitch, they'll all be committed over here. If they're saying, right, okay, we'll show you inside, well, go inside, but as soon as you get outside, you're going to expose them. or go across, whichever. So we try and give them all the answers, but not in a prescriptive way saying you must do X, Y and Z, because that's not how the players then become robots and they think that I've got to shout all the answers on. So the best example I can give you is Jalen Lucas' first goal at Walsall. We've got a principle about wide free kicks. It sort of played out, but it didn't. If you watch that goal back, and if the clip goes back far enough, watch how much Denver and Jason, who are stood next to the ball, are talking and they're working out how to score with the principle in mind. So I tell them about Clive Woodward, rugby coach. Says England won the World Cup in 2003, I think it was, when the ball was out of play. Which I found, when I heard him speak, was fascinating. Thinking, how the bloody hell does that work? They outthought the opposition when the ball was dead. And obviously in rugby, when you're chasing an egg, it goes everywhere and it goes out of play a lot. You know, they outthought the opposition. So when that ball's dead, them two were working it out. And if you watch Denver's run, touches it, he didn't even touch it, he ran over the ball, 3 of them went with him, played to Jalen Luca, score. All because of what they thought. We didn't tell them to do that. Something similar we told them to do, if possible, but they took it upon themselves. That's the same in open play. So I think it's hard. I think one of the reasons we've done so well is because I think we're hard to stop. That's why I think we've scored 5th or 6th or 7th, 8th most goals in the league. We've got to become a bit better the other way. But then that gets exacerbated by the second goal the other night, because we go for it. I'd rather lose 2-0 or 3-0 than lose 1-0, because it's still 0. But we're more likely to get 1-1 and get a point by going for it. So we've got to tighten up a bit at the other end, but actually that's probably more to our philosophy, our mindset. In terms of game plan, how you stop us, I think we're becoming very difficult to stop.
Cheers. Just come back to the Walsall game actually, and going back to some of your words about the formation, or what reference points, what would you say? One of the things I noticed about the game last Saturday was Walsall frightened to death of us, and I think what's come about over the last few weeks of the flexibility of how we play.
Yeah.
That's what came across to me in that, and something interesting you said after the game, and it relates to what you just said about giving the players freedom and not giving them a rollicking if it don't come off, because that's what we get out of our seats for, isn't it? Is that moment of somebody having the confidence to go for it. If it didn't come off, it didn't come off. And there's plenty of players that play for Grimsby throughout the years that we've said didn't score many goals, but bloody hell, he put a shift in, or he tried this, or he tried that, and had me out of sleep.
Yeah, I think if there's one exclusive tonight from you guys that turn up, I've only ever shouted at the players this season once. Genuinely shouted at them once.
Go on, tell us.
Barrow away.
All right.
They didn't work. They didn't run around.
Yeah.
I've only shouted at players if they don't run around, because that's the minimum. Right? And they deserved it. And they expected it. I have to say, they knew. They're not stupid. It's not anywhere in my job description to shout at anyone. Right? Especially players who I'm trying to help. Gen Zs now don't expect to be shouted at. They've grown up not being shouted at. Quite the opposite. They've been told how good they are all the time and helped. Well, it's not good me getting a young lad from Luton and balling in his face from an inch, because that's not going to endear him to me or any player. Danny Rose doesn't expect it. He'd be more tolerant to it because he's older. Don't expect it anymore. They don't. They've experienced. The older lads have experienced it. They have. My job is to help them. My job is to help them get better and give them the freedom to express themselves with principles. Now, there's no hard and fast rule, but it's like, if you can do this, great. If you can't do this, try this. If you can't do either, okay, go on. So, at Walsall, you can ask Ev. I never shouted at Ev. Gave the ball away for the first goal. Why? He was trying to get on the ball. He was trying to do the right thing. That's on me, not him. Could he have spun the ball around the corner first time to Jaden Luca? Of course he could. Why? Because their holding midfielder Ryan Sturck come and got him. And he didn't recognise. Could Denver have played it there before Sturck come? Maybe. So there's all them nuances to it, which I point out to the players. He was trying to get on the ball, he was trying to do the right thing, right? And the next time he does it, it'll work. And if he keeps doing it, I need a coaching intervention. Not shout at him. I'm going to make him better. That's how I work.
No, I was going to say, and this is really important because this is where culture matters. Right? This has been the most surprising thing for me over the last 3 and 4 years, whatever it is now, is that there isn't a lot of progressive thinking in football leadership. In fact, it was really specific for us that we wanted leaders in the organisation that want to improve people. That applies to Dave, applies to Polly. It's like you build a culture of trust. You assume that people want to work hard and we can get the best talent that we can, and then you try and help them fulfil their potential and express themselves. And that's not unique to football, by the way. It's for any organisation, but it's rare in football. So, when did anyone ever get better by being shouted at? It just doesn't work anymore. It just
It's another USP for the club, isn't it, as well, for getting people to come?
It's massive. Like one of the qualities when we looked for a new head coach was who's the coach that most improves players. It's obvious, right? Steve does in a certain stuff. Steve. It might not come as a surprise. Another exclusive for you. Steve wasn't on the list. Didn't make any list that we were looking at. But it's so obvious to us, right? You want a higher talent that really wants to improve, and you have people that want to improve in a certain environment where people are allowed to make mistakes because we're all trying to get better.
I think on that basis, most of us can see that. I think please remember from me at least that for one or two idiots that shout at you, there's a load of others that are right behind you. So take account of that when that's happening, because that's certainly. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I think that concludes our player section. So
Just
thank you
got
for
one more question. We seem to play a lot of corners to the near post. Is that training ground or well, not?
It's data led. Most goals are scored at the near post, even though everyone thinks it's the back post.
There we go.
These set pieces that we've introduced recently, we haven't seen many set pieces like these 2 set pieces at Scotland's goals. How many of these set pieces have we got past sleeves different to what?
What, sorry?
How many set pieces have we got past sleeves different to what been done?
We're top of the league for free kicks, scoring goals from free kicks. We're not near the top for corners. We've got to improve that, but because we come at it from an objective point of view, there's no emotion involved. What gives us the best chance of scoring a goal? Right, then the ability of the coaching staff comes in, saying, right, how can we create that? So one of the best chances they had the other night was near the end. Jason and Denver took it short, and Jason tried to pass it back to Denver to shoot. If he'd have rolled it to Giza, and it did come to him, he shot, but Jatta was too close and he blocked it. If he'd have rolled it first time, it was literally a shot from 12 yards. They were trying something else, and it still ended up there. So there's plenty of imagination from the staff. So I said to Sean, come on, think of stuff. So he gets inspired. Because that's his little baby. Steve Crouch's defensive set pieces, that's his little baby. So they're getting trust placed in them, and they can develop and use their imagination to come up with good ideas. And right, will that work with this player but not this player? Will that work with all players? Right, come on, let's have a chat about it. And we do, and we're quite an open forum. And we don't fall out, but any staff member can speak their mind. And we come up with some decent little set pieces, especially the free kicks, because we're top of the league on them, so we must be doing something right. And when you get to that point, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy in the end. The players go out there going, well, we're definitely going to score from one because we always have done. So it's another area to improve, that's all. And we just keep improving and keep ticking along with it.
And we've got Danny Rose And we got Danny Rose, who wins a lot of free kicks.
Very good answer there, Andrew. Any more player-related questions from anybody? We'll move on to Marcoms then, which is Holly. So the first question is from season ticket holder Neil Mapley, and he asks, why do we announce the actual attendance rather than tickets sold like all the other clubs in the league, barring Port Vale? I'm interested in terms of occupancy. Gate figures are not an equal metric against 22 other clubs in the league, and how the amount in the ground compares to seats sold. Is there any way of obtaining that information? Sorry, that was quite a long-winded question, wasn't it?
Was it Neil? Was that his name?
Neil, yes.
First off, kudos off to Neil for knowing what all other clubs announce. And fair play for going into that level of detail. I think, as far as I'm aware, this club has traditionally stuck with actual attendance rather than tickets sold. And I think if you look at, I think it was at Accrington where we had 3,800 actual attendance. If we'd announced 6,000, which was the actual sold, and it's clear as day there's not 6,000 here, it doesn't feel quite right. I'm comfortable with us announcing an actual attendance rather than a ticket sold, because I think it's a better reflection of the people that are here. Some clubs may see it as a vanity metric. I'm fairly comfortable with where we're at, so we don't need to do that. Probably the right way to go. Unless clubs want to announce tickets sold and actual, I don't think it makes much difference. I think the trick is really to understand why people aren't coming and trying to close that gap between between sold and actual. And that's where I'd like to delve into a little bit more.
It's called the attendance, isn't it? The clue's in the name.
George Holmes says empty season ticket seats are a real problem and have been for the last 2 seasons. It's really frustrating to see the same groups of empty seats consistently at home games. Please, can we do more in terms of marketing to discourage this habit of not giving away seats when they're not being used?
So this season we sold 5,200 season tickets, and the previous 2 seasons we'd sold 5,700. So there's a 500 gap there. Of the season tickets that we've sold, there's about a 15% no-show rate. So again, I'm keen to understand why that no-show happens. It occurs more on a midweek game than on a weekend. Clearly factors like the strength of the opponent, the weather, are factors as well. On a Tuesday evening, a late kick-off probably discounts a lot of the younger children, and then maybe their parents coming as well. So again, I'm not sure if it's overly worrying. I think was the term used. Again, the same point applies. Let's understand why people are buying tickets and not showing up and trying to close that gap. But I think that 15% has been static for the last 3 seasons. That there might be some assumptions that Sky has had a big impact. I don't think so just yet. We're going to do a bit more delving into the data around individual match tickets and how that's trended over the last few years. But as far as we're concerned, it's not been a big drop-off on season tickets or individual as yet. But we are still doing a bit more data into it.
It'd be good anecdotally to know, actually, because I was scratching my head at the Tranmere game, going, it was the first time we got 4,000 something. I was like, we're 8th in the league, we're around the playoffs, and I think I looked at Polly did analysis about the season. So, yeah, if people have got any thoughts on why that is, we're genuinely keen to know, because, you know, Steve did the forecast for that night, because we're so high in the league, but it was a cold night. It's been cold here for 54 years, as long as I remember. So yeah, if anyone has got any ideas or is hearing anecdotally within the fan base about why people aren't coming on those games, because it hasn't been better. I understand the season ticket drop off from last year based on, you know, how we finished last year, but it's a bit of an enigma, to be honest, based on how well we're doing. That we're, you know, 4,000 for the first time this season was a little bit puzzling, to be honest. So I don't know if there's any thoughts or you know.
People work away though, don't
Could be, but that's been similar different years, I guess, and that's been an uptick. So we're generally trying to find out, because it is a bit puzzling.
We had more when we got them.
What's that?
More Champions League games this year as well.
Another question that's related to tickets as well. Season ticket holder Paul Smith asks, have the club looked into incentives for fans to release their seats when they can't attend games? Some teams in our league have a system where if they release their seat up to a maximum of 5 times a season and the ticket is resold, 50% of the additional income is returned to the customer in the form of credit towards next season, a season ticket, or to spend in the club shop.
So I think we already do a prize giveaway for Release Your Seat, and for the final game of the season you can win a season ticket for next year. So there are incentives out there, and I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it is an opportunity for the club to make some revenue on those Release Your Seats. Now, you know, if it's really strong opinion that that's not the direction of travel and people don't like that, then we can review it. But again, it does offer us an opportunity to generate some revenue.
The tech issue as well, isn't it?
The tech issue.
If you did give an incentive back to fans, though, would that not make people think more about buying a season ticket for next season? Because if somebody could potentially miss 4 or 5 games, it then might not become worth it to them to buy a season ticket. But if you're giving them the incentive back, that money could be given back to them off next year's season ticket, they might be more open to buying a season ticket.
Yeah, but I think that's potentially right. I mean, just to carry on, there's a technology issue as well. It's like the investment in the technology to do something like, you know, the Premier League teams do, where you get a ticket exchange and stuff as well. So we're a bit hamstrung. This was an experiment in seeing if people wanted to release seats. To be honest, even when you do release seats, there's capacity elsewhere in the stadium often as well at the moment. So, you know, it's great that people are committing to that, but if we're going to do it properly and make money from it, then we need to buy a different piece of technology, which is prohibitive at the moment as well. So we're trying to find our way through it. But again, you know, happy to take the feedback if people think that the incentives would be worth that. But you know, it only really becomes a problem when there's over demand and not enough supply, and we're just not there yet. As great as it's been, and genuinely we appreciate the support from when we came in. The season tickets were like 3,000, I think it was. So to see over 5,000 consistently is amazing, and we appreciate that. But we've still got a lot of capacity spare at games. So even if you give your ticket up, someone might buy somewhere else in the stadium. So I think we're not quite there yet on the demand, but we will be, I think.
There was a little bit of a dilemma as well. It's not an easy one to solve, because part of the reason for some people who don't turn up buying a season ticket is they want to sit with their mates and they want to guarantee that seat. Can't make them all, but the discount is enough for it to be worth buying the season ticket and missing a few games. Yeah. So that's a challenge that's difficult to overcome.
Well, you're also right there. Look, we appreciate that, because the season ticket helps us with cash flow. So for the best will in the world, I'd be lying to you if I said, look, those empty seats, we've had the cash for them as well, and we want to resell them, we want to maximise the commercial opportunity. But those people who've bought those seats have helped the club, because there's a period at the end of the season where cash flow gets tight as well. So it's a real challenge to try and square that circle, I think. But
fans appreciate the discount, and that helps drive that. So it's not something
exactly.
You want to pull away
I mean, look, we really want to have that problem, which is like we've got so much demand because we're filling the stadium every week, and we can invest in technology to do seat exchange and stuff, but we're not quite there yet. But for a time when we can be, we carry on the trajectory that we're on, and we'll be forced to make a decision on that. But at the moment, you know, the supply, you know, the demand isn't putting extra pressure on the supply. So
look at prices of green seats.
It is frustrating though to see the same empty seats every week if that does happen, and so I would encourage fans, if they can, to really think about releasing the seats. And again, we'll take feedback in terms of the incentive to that. But.
Just an additional question, just to add on the end of that: do the club track season ticket holders that don't turn up every week?
Yes. Yes. No, it all helps. You know, we're trying to be data informed on the pitch, same with off the pitch as well. So all of these insights around no shows, around who is coming, who isn't coming, the percentage of adults or concessions, like it all builds into our decision making and our strategy going forward.
Question from Grant Johnson: the club have notably developed the data-led approach to recruitment and playing staff. Is there a similar plan to use the data in the customer and the commercial side of the business? E.g., have the club profiled the fan base in terms of average age, how many exiles, where people live, stuff like that?
Yes, we get a good amount of data from the EFL with various benchmarks across the league, so we use that to help inform our commercial output and to some level our understanding of fan profiles. I think it is fair to say that there's still a bit more room for improvement to do there. For example, a CRM system is something that we've been looking into around the viability, the return on investment of something like that. So yes, there's absolutely things that we can do. I think one of the things we've all been speaking about is reaching out to fans with specific skill sets in certain areas, and that might be something that we look to engage the fan base in going forward. Has somebody got, you know, a huge amount of experience or knowledge in this area that can help guide us and steer us? So as we've developed some of our, exactly what it is that we're looking for, it might be something that we reach out to the fan base to see if anyone can help us. So we're thinking about that across various different topics, and you might start to see some of that request going forward.
There's no season ticket holders that are head coaches, though. All right.
I'll go into the DMs. That's the DM.
Get a centre forward.
I was listening to the 35 podcast, Mike. Thanks, Mike. The other podcasts are available, Dave, obviously. But like about the thing about CRM, and they're spot on about like we definitely want to improve the CRM and the relationship so we can give products and services and offers. But there's a cost to that as well. That's the challenge with every decision we're making, with the losses that we're making. We're going, actually, all things being equal, we'd love to improve every single area of the business, invest again, and there's opportunities are so wide and deep in this organisation. Believe me, so there's choices in that. So again, it's about where the cost benefit is. If we invest in technology, well, it might be another £100,000 that we can't spend on players or the SAG or the pitch or whatever. So there's really difficult. I'm not looking for sympathy. They'll just any business has choices. We're finding that it's even more difficult in this one because the losses are so great as well. But I think there were points about in an ideal world, you know, for someone from a technical background with the businesses that I've run, I'd love to have a really, really, you know, detailed CRM that looks at profiling individuals and gives them the point of service they want. But there's a choice. That money spent there means that we can't spend it somewhere else, unfortunately. So if anyone has a CRM database that they want to come, who's a fan of Grimsby Town that wants to help us with that, we would love to engage you on that programme, and we can supply with fish and chips endlessly, and maybe a night out with I mean, you can come to Tenerife for me and David, basically.
I mean, on the season tickets, you talked about it was going to be a small limit. I know some clubs, I know Doncaster, I've got a friend who goes there, where you can buy like a 5 or 10 year season ticket, and basically what that happens is the cost stays the same for them 5 years. Is that something that the club would think about?
We haven't modelled that at the moment. I think one of the thinking behind this year and going early is that the prices will be the same regardless of whether we're League 2 or League 1. We've also done some work around a bit more of the strategy behind the tickets. There was a few anomalies within the current price structure that an individual match ticket didn't equate to the same level of a season ticket. So we've just tried to recalibrate some of those a little bit. I don't know if you guys have got any particular thoughts on a longer term season ticket, but it's not something we've thought about, but we can have a look at it.
You can't expect a Premier League ticket for 20 quid, can you?
Next question we've got is about kits for next season from season ticket holder Dan Smith. He asks, any chance we could get a blackout kit next season? Pretty please. Let's just pretend that colour clashes are not a thing.
So the kit designs for next season are already well established, so it's too late for next season. Obviously we're playing black and white, so I'm not sure how a blackout would look out for that one. That said, you know, whether there are particular campaigns or warm-up shirts, you know, we'll always, you know, open to suggestions, so it's something that we could have a look at, but it's unlikely to be for next season.
Another question from the Punjab Mariner. He says, I've seen and experienced the presence of mobile masts on the sides and the roofs of away grounds, Walsall and Maidstone to name two. Have the club investigated the benefits of quicker mobile data at BP, and is there potential revenue stream by allowing operators to use the roofs or the floodlights to install a mast?
Quick one, yeah, we've got a couple already that we are generating revenue from.
Easy answer. Right, before because we've done all the questions on the sheet, have we got any more questions about anything that anyone would like to ask our panel? Can I give you the microphone?
Yeah, obviously David's doing really well at the moment, so what's the plan? Obviously he's out of contract end of next season, I think. So it's a question for the board really.
I've changed ages.
So what's the plan in terms of the board to maybe look at extending that? And also from David's point of view, what would you need from Grimsby Town for you to want to stay? Question.
Depends how Tenerife goes.
You like David in Tenerife.
It's all. I'm sure we're all in agreement. He's doing a cracking job, and long may that continue as well. It would be a bit odd if we had those discussions here rather than with him directly. But no, he's got our full support, so I'm sure we'll pick those conversations up in good time.
Can I, just as a broad comment, it's a good question, right? So our job is not to keep David or Polly in their seat. So our job is to make this organisation ambitious and an environment that helps them improve and a place that they want to be. And that's the same with any organisation that we've been involved with, right? So we're ambitious and we've got to make sure that we're pushing the organisation so they feel like this is the best place for their career to be. You know, and if we have that problem, then we're doing something right, and they're definitely doing something right, both of them, if they get traction, if they get, you know, interest from elsewhere. So, you know, I've said that, like, I want these two to be really successful, whatever that means. I hope it's here. We're trying to make it here, but equally, I'll be really proud if they go on to bigger and better things as well. So, but we will try everything we can to make this the place that they want to be. And that's as much as you can do, really.
One of the fellas at half time asked me the question, right? And I said to him, in my previous role, I had the third lowest budget in the league and got promoted. Finished in the top half of League One. Sold all the players to the Championship. Then got relegated. And I suffered for it. But I stayed. Because it was a good club. So, you know, does that mean if Man United come tomorrow I'd go? Probably I would. Right? And I think, yeah. It's funny when I said that. The fellow went, even Man United, exactly the same. Right? Yeah, and obviously Polly knows it's Man United. You know. The point is I've sort of done this before, and because I was at a good club before, I think I know a good club. That's why I chose these two. You know, rather than the other 9 that I didn't choose. You know, that's the truth. So I know when I'm onto a good thing. You know, and if opportunities present, you know, then we'll discuss it. If they haven't, I'm not looking for them. That's because I'm.
Past experience of crew obviously went on there. I think like you usually something on Tuesday, think like you're on a third budget. I'm thinking, you know, what.
Yeah, but I think there's more to life. Football isn't as black and white as you think. These two are more important than that to me. And I don't want to embarrass him. I'm not trying to embarrass you or, you know, gain favour or anything like that. I met some, as Jason was alluding to earlier, common sense in football isn't very, it's not very common at senior level, because emotion comes into it. It's my club, you know, and you put vast amounts of money in, and suddenly you hear horror stories, certainly every month, about, you know, I don't know, this player's got to play. The owner stormed into the dressing room and had to go to the star player because he's one of them. All them kind of stories, none of that happens here. You know, it's so far removed. Why? And we see the benefit of it. We see the benefit of it because as good as these two guys are in business, I'm a better head coach. They're better businessmen, but I don't go into their offices and tell them what to do. And that's the trust that we have. That doesn't often happen in football. And while that's happening, I'm quite happy. You know, and the progress and the ambition that we're all showing, let's see what we get to. It's a 5-year deal on $8 grand.
Are you after an agency deal? Is that
this is probably aimed at Polly. I don't know whether it is really, but my name's Pete Roberts, by the way. I was at the conception of the Mariners Trust many, many years ago. And one of the main aims of the manifesto was to improve the matchday experience. And I think I can say that the Mariners Trust, to that end, has been a huge success. You look round at the improvements that have been made in here, and one of the big successes has been the fan zone. Okay? And that was probably 5 years ago. And people have been going in the fan zone for 5 years like myself who stand or go in the main stand, no problem whatsoever, and then all of a sudden we've been told that we can't come through the entrances in this stand. We have to walk all the way around to the main stand. Well, that is absolutely ridiculous. And it's stopping people going into the fan zone. And I want to know why we're having to do this. To be told when we came one day, no, you can't come through here anymore. You've got to walk all the way around the streets to the main stand. And it's ruining the match day experience. And I cannot for the life of me understand why. Because there's been no trouble whatsoever, and things have been going so well, and then just like that, somebody made the decision, you can't come in here anymore. And I would like you to find out why and report back on that, please.
Understood. I wasn't aware of the issue. I'm happy to have a look into it. I can only imagine that it would be a safety consideration around egress, but I don't know. That would just be my assumption. So yes, I'll take it away. We'll have a look.
It's stopping people going in the fan zone.
Yeah, and I'm right in thinking that you don't need a ticket to go into the fan zone.
No.
But then to then access the stadium, you'd need to enter in through a certain turnstile. So I think that might cause some of the issue. But again, that's based on an assumption. So I don't know.
There's been no issues whatsoever.
Okay, I'll have a look into it and I'll come back.
Thank you very much.
Any more for any more?
I'm not going to but one thing that you mentioned to me was something about, obviously it's all about entertainment of football, but prior to the game starting, years ago we used to have music playing before the game, and things happening on the pitch and entertainment. When you score a goal, music goes on, some clubs still do it. So, that's stopped. Is there a reason for that?
I'm not privy, I'm afraid, to exactly what's happened or what's happened in the past. And we are working on something and have something ready to go in terms of the match day experience and the countdown to kick off. So we're almost ready to launch that. So watch this space for that one. I think we have had discussions around the match day experience and the atmosphere and the environment, and I think we're quite mindful of how much is it club manipulated versus how much is it organic through the fan base. And I believe there's a drummer in the pontoon. I think that adds to the atmosphere when they're playing. But again, really keen to hear from you guys as to what we can do. Like, what would you like the club to do? Do you want flares and
Music out playing prior to the game?
Like big clubs have like live shows, but obviously we're not going to be able to do that. But it was really quite like even with the music, even when you have the music, you could hardly hear it. Sometimes you just need that.
I'll tell them to turn it up. I'll tell them to turn it up tomorrow.
I know we haven't got this house.
Or Dave on the karaoke, whatever you need to do.
I think we'd all get behind that.
So we've got the music set up leading up to kick off, and I think anything else is up for grabs. Like let's talk about it. And I think going back to your point around the Mariners Trust and the match day experience, it'd be great to canvass opinion from fans. Like, what would fans like to see? Do you want to see flares, or is that a bit not quite right for this club? Do we want music going off after a goal is scored? Like, it has to feel right for this club. It can't just be a copy of what someone's doing in another country or in America or in Saudi. Like, it has to be right for here. And I'd absolutely love to canvass opinion to feel what fans would like on their matchday experience. Christine?
Just as we do music, it got turned up in August, we got complaints it was too loud. There is goal music, we get complaints that goal music is cringy. So it's very much trying to balance. We'd have a conversation with you, we'd implement it, and then we get complaints. So it's trying to find a balance. But we do have music, and we upgrade the speakers, and we've got loads of complaints from the upper mainly that it was too loud.
And I think you know.
I wait for fans singing "This is a library."
And Christine's right.
Because the best acoustics in this ground are in the open.
You're never going to find a solution that everybody's on board with. But if there are better solutions than what we've got, that the majority are on board with, then open to it.
I know one thing that we looked at before was the sound coming out of the pontoon was lost a bit because of that. The side panel is gone.
Yeah, we're going to pick that up in the off season.
Cold as well, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to.
Is that going back?
Yeah, we're going to pick that up in the off season. We're also looking to combine it with maybe a mural or something on the inside of the pontoon. Again, maybe from a local artist, so that it's not just the side of a stand, but something more that we can do to make it feel a bit special.
Any more for any more?
I just got a quick follow-up on attendances. I've noticed that we've stopped putting the home and away attendances in the match reports and on Twitex, and I just wondered if that could be, put back in again.
Yeah, I'm sure we can do that.
Yeah. A simple thing, but
sure.
Can you elaborate? Do you mean like confirming how many away fans came?
Yeah, how many
each
away?
game?
Yeah, I mean, Twitter that used to have. I think he still has the home.
We do put the home attendance on Twitter every match
not
day.
Not home and away. And
I think in the match report we can do that maybe.
Yeah, in the match report, happy to do that. I think we've been not discouraged, but because it's a home match day, we want to say how many of our just fans overall. We don't want to really point out the amount of away fans.
It gets announced at the game, but it doesn't. If you're not able to be in the game.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. I'm sure that's something
the
we
other
can
podcast, can you get to stop telling the young fans to, what is it Bruce always has a thing about welcome and thanks for coming out, you've had a great day.
But you notice now that Kev has to really concentrate on what he's saying.
Yeah, we.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention a few months ago you said filling in the corners isn't really advisable. It's not really an option. Have you thought about potential safe standing in the pontoon to maybe bring up the atmosphere a bit more, sort of thing?
Haven't yet. I think one of the areas that is filled in already is between the main and the Osmond, which is obviously cornered off at the moment. So that would probably be an area that we could look at for safe standing. Again, the main point is we're not selling out at the moment. So. And that would be a capital cost in addition to the capital cost that we've already got at the moment. So we can have a look at it. There is that stand there, albeit it would need a bit more concrete because the steps are larger than normal steps. So there isn't a quick fix, I don't think of, unless you know one. But we can have a look at it. But at the moment, it would be another capital expenditure on top of the list that we've got already.
And also, under the EFL rules, you've got to give the same to the away fans, so it kind of doubles the cost.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it reduces your capacity as well. So it actually, perversely, you'd think people stood up is less. Well, it should give you more capacity, but actually reduces it because it has to be safe standing. So there's a bunch of considerations. But it's interesting as well. It's actually if there's enough people think that is the thing that would unlock the atmosphere, we can prioritise this stuff. But I know the Managers Trust have looked at this for years about what we all want. When BP's at its best. It's amazing, right? And that's what we want every week. So if there was something that made that a greater probability, if safe standing was it, we would prioritise it. I think it's fair to say, but it's on the suite of other things. There doesn't seem to be a silver bullet. But if that was it, then we'd obviously look at it.
Even like a walkout song, maybe. Because I know a few home games, like where the Black and White Army was played, and then that sort of stopped. But when that was played, I thought personally the atmosphere was a bit more pumped up before the game sort of started.
We've tried loads of stuff, even in the last couple of years. I mean, Chris and Dave have done this for years. Right? So there was a playlist of local music that we tried, that we sort of crowdsourced, and then there's been different songs mentioned, and I think the pods have done polls and stuff. We've tried all kinds of stuff, but we're definitely open-minded. If there is things that, again, if you think that particular song would work, then we should experiment with this, and we're definitely open to that, because we're fans. We love when this place is full and rocking it. There's nothing like it, right? So anything we could do to enhance that, we'd be committed to.
Question at the back. Do you want the microphone?
No, right. Have you thought about like a singing section? Man United did similar where they got the J stand, and people could give up their singing tickets throughout the ground, and then buy an unreserved seat, and everyone can go there. Because you might have pockets of fans around the ground that can't sit in certain seats because there isn't seats available next to the mates. So if you had everyone in one area, you could move everyone into that area.
Christine, did we try that one?
We've done it for the Osmond, yeah, where it's still open, anybody can switch their seats into it.
But there's no seats available next to.
Yeah, you can all switch into the Osmond.
Oh, you can all
Yeah,
switch.
anybody can
Yeah, I was
log in
going to say, I
online
think
with
we've done that
ticket
this
and
season.
Switch into the Osmond.
Was it right in that game that some of the people who took it up then when we switched ends came out? Because it looked empty at the second half.
You can't switch ends. If
Can't
you're in
you?
the Osmond, you can't get out of the Osmond.
Does that
All right, yeah,
yeah,
fine,
okay.
yeah. Not then.
Do we have any more questions? Any more? Well, we'll bring the evening to a close with a message sent in by Richard Warman for David. Thanks for all your hard work, opinion and measured approach. We are behind you. I wouldn't listen too much to the main stand moaners. We are so lucky to have you and we hope you're here for a long time.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you very much everybody for coming.